Begin the Gemara today on Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom of the Amud. Gemara quotes what it said in the Mishnah, Ad HaGeshamim, if a person's neder is until the rain, so then the Tanakama says Ad Sheyiyu Geshamim, until it actually rains. Ad HaGeshamim, Ad Sheyiyu Geshamim, both of these are languages that he uses when he says his neder. So then he says Ad Shetered Reviya Shniya, until the second rain of the season comes, it has to actually rain. That's when his neder ends. Rav Shimon Gamliel said in the Mishnah, until the time of the second rain comes, even if it didn't actually rain, that's until when his neder is. Sagt the Gemara, Rab Zeire said about this, Machloikis, the Omar, Ad HaGeshamim, the argument whether it means until it actually rains, or until the time when it would rain, the second time in the rain of the season. That's if you said the term Ad HaGeshamim, using a plural term. Aval Omar, Ad HaGeshem. But if you said until the rain, that means Ad Zman Geshamim. Ad HaGeshem means until the time when it's going to rain. And it doesn't have to actually rain. Even the Tanakama would agree to this. So in some Rishonim, it's not clear in the Gemara what's the difference if he's using a plural term or a singular term, Geshamim or Geshem. So in the Rosh, it's mashma that it's in the words of Geshamim and Geshem. Geshamim could mean referring to the actual time when it's going to be raining, the second rain. Geshem means a Zman Geshem. Okay, but it's hard to understand why would be the difference in the actual word between Geshamim and Geshem if it means actual rain or the time of rain. The Ran says a different shot. The Ran says that really the rule is anytime a person makes a neder and he connects this neder to a certain time frame that's not exactly set. It's a time frame that's it's approximate. So because of that, we say that the person did not mean to put himself into a time frame of a neder which is not clear. And therefore we say that it means the beginning of, over here would mean the beginning of when it would usually rain, even if it didn't actually rain. Because if you're going to wait until it actually rains, so then it's not clear. So therefore, when a person makes a neder for rain, we're going to say that it means until the time when it would usually rain, even if it did not rain. So therefore, if he says Geshem, which is a usual term people use for rain, what do people say for rain? Geshem. So then it means until the time when it would usually rain. If he added and said Geshamim, so he's using an unusual term, he's saying a plural term, so then I say, why did he say Geshamim and not Geshem? Then the Tanakama says he used the term Geshamim to say, because he means until the time when it's going to actually rain. But Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, and even if he changed from Geshem, the usual term, and uses the term Geshamim, he still means a time period when it's going to rain, because the actual rain is not clear when it's going to happen, so therefore it only means a time period when it usually rains, the second rain of the season in the winter. That's the Ran's husband, the Gemara. The Gemara asks on this, Meisvei, Gantaf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. So Meisvei, the question is, the periods of rain, it speaks about this in the Gemara in Tainus, and there it says in the Braise, Ezeu Zmana Shel Reviya HaBechira. When is the time of the first rain of the winter in Eretz Yisrael? Begimel, on the 3rd of Cheshvan. Beinanis, the middle time, the second time of the rain is Beshiva, in the 7th day of Cheshvan. Afila, the last rain, is Be'esrim V'shloisha, on the 23rd of Cheshvan, or according to another version, this opinion here is Beshiva Asar, in the 17th of Cheshvan. Divrei Rab Meir, this is Rab Meir's opinion. Rab Yudah says, Beshiva is the 7th, that's the first rain. Beshiva Asar, the 17th is the 7th rain, the second rain that is. U Be'esrim V'shloisha, on the 23rd of Cheshvan, that's the third rain. Rab Yosi says, Beshiva Asar, the 17th of Cheshvan is when the first rain comes. Ube'esrim v'shloisha, the 23rd of Cheshvan is the second rain. Ube'chaydish Kislev, or another gersa here is Ube'reish Chaydish Kislev, the Chaydish of the next month in Kislev, that's when the third rain comes. Okay, so this is the machlokes here regarding the 3 different times for the rain in the beginning of the winter. V'chein haya Rab Yosi would say, Eina yechidim misanin, the individuals, which refers to the Talmidei Chachamim. If you remember, we learned in the Gemara Tainus, when it doesn't rain, so the first ones that fast, before everyone fasts, is the Talmidei Chachamim. So when did the Talmidei Chachamim fast? Because there's no rain. So they wait, they don't begin fasting until the Shcheidish Kislev comes. That's the third time when the rain should have came, and it still didn't rain, then they have to fast. Regarding this Braisa, regarding the various different times of the 3 rains of the season, it was said, it's understood why it mentions here the time of the first rain. Lishal, the relevance to know when the first rain of the winter is, when do you begin saying in Eretz Yisrael the same Talamata? So you begin on the 7th of Adar, following the opinion here that says that the 7th, not Adar, the 7th of Cheshvan, which begins the time of the rain. Shlish is the relevance to know when the third time of the season of the rain in the winter is Lisanis. To know when that time comes and it still didn't rain, so the Talmidei Chachamim, the Yechidim, they begin to fast. But Ela Shniya, but when it says in the Braisa when the second time of the rain in the winter is, Lamai, what's the relevance of this? Rab Zeire said the relevance is Linoider. For a person that makes a neder, that his neder should last until the time of rain. What's considered to be the time of rain? Until the second time period, the second time of the rain in the season of the winter. Now on this it was said, according to which opinion? Of these opinions here, we had Rab Meir, Rab Yehuda, and Rab Yosi. According to which one of these opinions does the following brayso go? Rab Shimon ben Gamliel said, Gishamim sheyardu, the rain that comes down. So Shiva Yamim, it rains 7 days straight, consecutively. So you could consider this to be the rain of the first rain of the winter and also the second rain of the winter, because it's raining straight 7 days, going from the first into the second period of rain. According to which opinion does it come out that there's a difference of 7 days from the first, or rather from the first to the second period of rain? Rabbi Yosi, that follows Rabbi Yosi's opinion, because what did Rabbi Yosi say? The first day is the 17th. That's the when the first rain season begins, and the second rain of the season rather is be'esrim v'shloisha, on the 23rd. So if you include the 17th day itself and you count to the 23rd day and you include the 23rd day itself, it's 7 days. So that's according to his opinion. So what was Rab Shimon ben Gamliel saying here? The Gemara doesn't spell out what the question that it's asking is. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, when he was saying here that if you have the rain that goes from the 17th of Cheshvan straight till the 23rd, so this is one long season of rain, and it includes the first and the second of the rain of the season. What Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying over here is, the Gemara just said before, the relevance of knowing the second season of rain is regarding a neder. So what's Rab Shimon ben Gamliel saying? Rab Shimon ben Gamliel was the one that said in the Mishnah that according to him, when you talk about the second rain, which is relevant for a neder, that neder, it's not even only if it actually rains. When that date comes in the calendar, when it would usually rain, that's until when his neder goes. But, as Iran explains, what Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying over here is, according to the Chachamim that say that when a person makes a neder until it rains, and the rain refers to the second season of rain, the second time it rains in the season, so it has to actually rain. So what Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying is, even according to you Chachamim, that say that the neder lasts until it actually rains, so that means when it rained from the first to the second time in the season straight, that's going to be considered to be the rain already for the second season. Even though it started raining by the previous season, by the first rain of the season, but it continues raining into the second time of the season, that's already considered to be the rain of the second season, and therefore the neder is going to be ended by then. So what's Rab Shimon ben Gamliel saying here? Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying that the neder will only end when it actually rains, not when the time of the second rain of the season comes, but it has to actually rain. That's when, according to the Tanna Kama, the rain will end. So what's our question? Our question is, according to the Ran, the Gemara is assuming that the language of the neder the person made was ad hageshem. Why is the Gemara assuming that? Because, as I explained before, geshem is the usual terminology a person uses. Geshamim is not usual. To use the plural term, that's unusual. The usual term of a neder, when a person connects his neder to a time of rain, he uses the term geshem. So the Gemara is assuming that here in this Braisa as well, the person said Ada Geshem. And what's Rab Shimon ben Gamliel saying? That according to the Tanna Kama, Geshem means when it actually rains. And Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying that if it began raining in the first time of the season and it rains consecutively straight into the second time of the season, that's considered to be actual rain, and the neder will stop at that point. But you see that even if you use the term ad hageshem, which is the usual term a person uses, it means when it actually rains. Not like Rab Zeire said before, that but if he says ad hageshem, everybody agrees that it only means the zman of geshem, the period, the second period of rain, and not the actual rain. So the Gemara answers this question it's not a question, even though Geshem is taka the usual term a person uses. But Ahu, in that case, that it says that his neder will last until it actually rains in the second time of the rain of the season, the Amar ad ha-geshamim. He used the term ad ha-geshamim, and geshamim is the plural term. It's different than the usual lashon, and it means until it actually rains. And not until the time of the rain, until it actually rains. So it's not a question. Okay, that's a taich in the Gemara. Sagt Heilige Mishnah, kainim yayin shani tayim, or she'eni tayim. A person makes a neder regarding wine. He says, I'm not going to taste wine l'shana, for the year. Or some are going to say hashana, for this year, or shana zu, for this year. And then this abra shana, the year, it was added another month to the year. Another adar, it's a ibriyah. So asa ba bi buddha, he will not be allowed to drink wine for that whole year, for that year, and also including for the adar of that year. So according to the Ran, the chiddush of the Gemara over here is when a person is at the beginning of the year, and the person makes this neder, and he says that he's not going to drink either for Hashana, which means this year, or he said Shana Zu, which means this year. But if the person's neder was that he's not going to drink wine for Shana Achas, for 1 year, then it actually will not include that extra month of the year. And the reason is because most years do not have that extra month. Right? And therefore, Shana Achas will be without that extra month. And the Ran actually has an interesting proof to this. He says, what happens if a person makes a neder, I'm not going to drink wine for 1 year. So usually the halach is you have to keep your neder right away. You start keeping your neder this 1 year right now that you're standing in. What if the person didn't keep his neder in this year that he's standing in, Shana Achas? So then he has to keep his neder the following year. So even if this year is a Shana Mu'beres, the following year is not going to be a Shana Mu'beres. So if he could keep his neder the following year, and that will be good for the neder, Shana Achas, so that shows that his neder could be kept without the extra month. So therefore, even if he's keeping his neder immediately, and he's starting now, and this year has that extra month, it doesn't include the extra month. So according to the Ran, the Mishnah is only when he said Hashon or Shana Zu, then it means even the extra month. What's if the person said that his neder should be ad Rish Chodesh Adar, until or Reish Adar, until the beginning of the month of Adar? Which Adar is it? Ad Reish Adar Rishon. That's till the beginning of the first Adar. At Soif Adar, he says his neder should be until the end of Adar. At Soif Adar Rishon. So then the neder will be until the end of the first Adar, not the end of the second Adar. This is the girsa that we have in our Mishnah here. But the Ran does quote another girsa, which is actually the girsa of the Rambam. And he says that when it says in the end of the Mishnah, your guide is Ad Soif Adar Sheni. That if you make your neder, that it should be until the end of Adar. The end of Adar refers until this end of the second Adar. And the Ran actually explains an interesting thing. The reason, according to the Rambam, is because the Rambam says in the Lashon, person says in the neder, when you say Soif Adar, it means the second Adar because the 2 months of Adar are considered to be like one long month of 60 days. Remember, the Rebbe spoke about this when the Rebbe spoke about the dancing in Chodesh Adar. The Rebbe spoke about the 60 days that it's batel b'shishim, that it's like considered to be like one big month of 60 days. So over here, according to the Rambam, that's the pshat that it means Ad Soif Adar Sheni. Okay, but we're going to learn the rest of the Gemara according to the Ran's Gersa. The Ran is guidus that it's until the Soif of Adar Rishon. So the Gemara, Alma, what do I see from what it says in our Mishnah here, that when a person makes the neder, whether the beginning of Adar or that it shall last until the end of Adar, it means the first Adar. So we see that Stama, the Adar, the Ka'amar, when a person says Adar, what does he mean if he doesn't specify which Adar it is? Rishonu. It refers to the first Adar, not the second. Leim, Rabbi Yudi, shall we say that our Mishnah follows Rabbi Yudi's opinion? The Tanya, Nabraisa, Adar, Harishain. So this is talking about a person that's writing in a document, in a get, in a Shtar Kiddush, in any document you're writing Adar. So if it's Adar Harishain, if it's the first month of Adar, Kaisev Adar Harishain. So you write in the document and you spell out that it's Adar Harishain. Adar Sheni. If you're writing in a document Adar, the second Adar, so then Kaisev Adar Stam. You write Adar, you don't have to specify which it is, and we know that you're referring to the second Adar. This is Rab Meir's opinion. So here in Rab Meir, you clearly see that he says Stam Adar refers to the second Adar, not like our Mishnah that said that the Stam Adar, when a person said in his neder, refers to the first Adar. Rabbi Yudah says it's the reverse. Adar Rishain, if he's writing a document and he's referring to the first Adar, Kaisef Stam. So then he doesn't have to specify which Adar it is. He just writes Adar. We know it's the first. Adar Sheni, if he's writing in his get or in a document, the second Adar, Kaisev Tinyon. He writes, if he's writing it in Aramaic, he's going to write it's the second Adar. So that's like it says in our Mishnah. The Stam Lashon of an Adar refers to the first Adar. Amar Abaye, so Abaye answers, no, we can say our Mishnah goes like a Meir. Fil Tamer Rab Meir. Why? It depends on the situation. Over here in this Braisa, the Gemara is quoting, it's talking about in the situation where the person knows that this year is a Shana Muberes. If you know already that it's a Shana Muberes in advance, so the main Adar is the second Adar. So the second Adar is Stam Adar. But in our Mishnah, it's speaking about with the person did not know that it's a Shana Muberes. When you begin the year, in those times, it wasn't necessarily established from the beginning of the year. It was later in the year that the Chachamim saw the need to make a second Adar. So if you didn't know, so then the first Adar is the main Adar, and then they added another Adar. And that's what our Mishnah here was speaking about. Mother brings it again.
They didn't have a calendar.
Exactly, didn't have a set calendar from in advance. The Gemara brings a raya for this from another Braisa, Vatanya, like we learned in the Braisa. The Braisa here talks about a person that makes a neder, and it says, if his neder was Adrish Chaydish Adar, so that means Adrish Chaydish Adar Harisha. His neder should be until Rish Chaydish Adar, so it's until the first Adar, Rish Chaydish, the first Adar. Im Haisa Shana Muberes, then the Braisa says, what's if it was a Shana Muberes, a year, Ibayar, so then Adrish Chaydish Adar Sheni, his neder goes until the second Adar. So when you learn the simple pshat of this brayse, it's very hard to understand what this means. In the Reisha, what does it say in the Reisha? That usually it goes until Adar Arishan. What do you mean usually? If it's Adar Arishan, that means that it's also a Shana Muberes. Miklal. Could you understand over here from what it says in the second part of this brayse, the Reisha Lav Muberes Baskinon? That the first part of the brayse is not speaking about a year where there's two Adars. How could that be? If it says Adar Arishan, the first part of the brayse is also speaking about two Adars. So what does it mean to say that if it was a Muberes? So Shema Mina, the way to understand this Braisa is exactly how we explain this. In the Seif of the Braisa, it means that the person had the calendar in advance and he knew that it's going to be a Shana Muberes. So then when he makes his neder until Rish Chaydish Adar, it means the second Adar. And And then in the first case of the Braisa, when it says that it goes until Adar Arishan, it's because it was the person that did not know that it's going to be a Shana Muberes, so that goes until Rish Chaydish Adar Arishan, like the answer we gave before. Zok Teilige Mishnah, it's the last Mishnah on the Perek here, and there's actually no Gemara on this Mishnah, because a lot of the Inyanim that we have here in this Mishnah was explained already earlier in the Masechta, as we'll see, so it was quoted already before. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kainem yayin she'eni tayim achi hey Pesach. A person makes a neder, I will not drink wine until it'll be Pesach. So we learned earlier in the Mishnah, in this Perek, when a person uses the term yehei, it'll be, that means actually usually until Pesach is over, till the end of Pesach. But over here, this Mishnah says, Rabbi Yehuda says, if he says, I'm not going to drink wine until it'll be Pesach, we assume that he does not mean until the end of Pesach. The Bach here adds the words, Eina Aser, so he's not going to be Aser Ela Ad Leil Pesach, until the night of Pesach, meaning the night of the Seder, Shaloi Neskaven Zeh Ela Ad Leil Pesach, because we can assume that this person did not want to make his neder only until the night of the Seder, but not including the night of the Seder itself, so he should be able to drink the Dalet Kaises for the mitzvah, right? Yeah, so even though he said Yehei, we assume that it means only until the night, but he should have time at the night to be able to drink the Dalet Kaises. Okay, some Rishonim say that what it says in this Mishnah argues with what it says in the Mishnah earlier in this Perek, because there was a Mishnah earlier in this Perek which seems to be talking about the same case, and there it says Yehei Pesach means until the last day of Pesach. Here this Mishnah says that it's only until the beginning. But others say that the Mishnah before was talking about a neder, not wine. Over here we're talking specifically if his neder was not to drink wine. So if it's not to drink wine, then it doesn't mean past the first night, because he has to be able to drink the Dalet Kaises. Similar thing, if a person says he's making a neder ad shah shederech, this is part of what this is going together with what it said before. So el ad leil pesach ad shah shederech b'nei adam lishtus yain. Okay, that's the time when people drink wine for the Dalet Kaises. Now, similar halacha, Oma kainum basar she'eni tayim. Person makes a neder, I will not eat meat until when? Achi yehei atzaim, until it'll be the fast of Yom Kippur. So seemingly that means that he can't eat on Erev Yom Kippur. People eat, right? There's the mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur, especially eat the last Suda right before the fast, so he wouldn't be able to eat meat at that time. So Eina Asar Elad Leile Tzaim. So this person will not be allowed to eat until the evening, meaning until right before the fast, that last Suda that people eat. So the fact that his neder will last until then, and he will be able to eat meat by that meal before the fast begins. Because the kavan of this person's neder was only ela at shosha derech b'nei adam lechol basar, until that time period that everybody eats meat before the fast. This is actually a bigger chiddush than the previous case, because in the previous case he said until Pesach his neder goes into the night of Pesach, but then he has to have time to drink the dal kaisis at night. Here he says his neder should be until the tzayin, and his neder doesn't even go into the fast at all. It ends already, has to end before Shkia, has to end before, so he should have time to eat by the Suda Mafsekes before Yom Kippur. So it's an even bigger Chiddush. Chiddush, basically what the Mishnah is saying is that sometimes when a person says a certain language in a neder, we could assume what he means, and even though the language it means one thing, but we could assume from what he meant that he for sure in his language meant to say differently than what his language would indicate. That's Chiddush here. Okay, Gemara says, Vaiter, Rabbi Yosi b'nai Eimer, Rabbi Yosi says, Kainim shum shani time. Similar thing, a person says, I'm not going to eat garlic. Achetei Shabbos until Shabbos comes. Eino aser elo ad leile Shabbos. So he's only not allowed to eat that garlic until Friday night. Shalei niskaven zeh, because this person's intention was only elo ad shosha derech ben yodum lechol shvishum. Until that time that people shum, or that people eat garlic. Okay, we had this before already. There was a takana, there was a minik to eat garlic on Friday night. So therefore, his neder is only until then, not including Friday night when people eat garlic. So the Mishnah now brings different halachas here, and this is also based on the same concept that we have to assume what the person is thinking, and we could understand it from the circumstance, not only the actual lashon that he says. And here, this is a neder that a person made with a certain condition, and we had this quoted already earlier in the Masechta. A person tells his friend, that I make a neder that I will not have any anah from you. If you're not going to come, or if you're not going to take for your children a measure of a kor, which is a big amount of wheat, or 2 barrels of wine. I want you to take, I'm giving you as a gift for your children to take this wheat and wine. And if you're not going to take it from me, I'm not going to have any anor from you. That was his neder. So even though he made this clear neder with this clear condition, and his friend did not take the wheat and the wine, so the condition was fulfilled and the neder should take effect, he can nullify his neder even without going to a chacham. And his friend tells him, you were giving this gift, it was all for my honor. You wanted to offer and give it for my children. The fact that I'm not accepting the gift from you, that's my honor. So therefore, be it as if I already accepted this and as if the honor was done, and therefore you could go ahead and have a nar from me. The neder does not take effect. The honor was given, done. Similar in the reverse. A person says to his friend, Kainem, my neder is sha'ata. The Bachas Gari says sha'ata nanali, that you will not have a nar from me. It may not ba v'noisen livni kor shalchitin. If you're not going to give me from my son a amount of wheat or 2 barrels of wine. So in this case, he says to his friend, don't be selfish. I want that you should give for me, that I should have for my children the wheat and the wine that I need. And if you're not going to share with me, you can't have anar from me. So Rab Meir here, he argues and says, this neder will be in effect until his friend actually gives. And if he doesn't give, so then the condition of the neder is fulfilled and he may not have anar from you. According to some, Rab Meir is actually arguing not only on this case, but on the previous case as well. Over there as well, when you said that I'm going to give you, according to Rab Meir, the neder will be in effect. If he doesn't give, then the neder will be in effect. Chachamim say over here, similar to what we said before. So this neder could be nullified without even going to Chacham. And he could say, even though originally I made the neder that you won't be allowed to have a nar from me if you don't give me wheat and wine for my children, but I'm the one that said this for my benefit because I needed this for my children, but I accept it as it should be as if I accepted this already. I have already enough, I don't need it from you, and therefore I only said it for a certain purpose, but it's as if I got it already, and therefore the neder does not take effect. Okay, so again, the point is, if you see a person making a neder for a certain purpose, so then if that purpose is not needed or it's fulfilled already, so then the neder doesn't really take effect. Another situation similar, they were trying to pressure a person that he should marry basa chaysai, his sister's daughter, which is a niece. And the Ran here actually brings, the Gemara in Yevamis says that there's an Inyan, there's a special Inyan for a person to marry his niece. The Gemara in the Nedarim brings there a pasuk that there's an Inyan. So they were trying to convince him to marry his niece. V'amar, and this person is saying, I'm not interested in marrying her. Yeah, it's good to marry your niece. So this person wasn't interested. So he says, Kainim she'in nanis li loilam. I make a neder, she'll never have a no from me. In order that no one should have any doubts. He's not going to marry her. Or similar case, a person divorces his wife, and Aimer, he makes a neder, he says, Kainim ishti nanis li loilam. My wife, that he's divorcing now, should not have a no from him forever. So what is the context of what he's doing? What is the meaning of this hana that his neder is? They're allowed to have a na from him. The neder that he said he shouldn't have a na was only in issues of marriage. But he didn't mean any hana. Because we see that he made this neder only regarding marriage or regarding divorcing his wife. If this person, another situation, a person is trying to convince his friend that he should come eat with him, he's trying to invite him, and his friend doesn't want to join him, and Omar, he says, so he's getting so annoyed by the fact that he's pressuring to come join him, he says, I make a neder that I will not enter into your home. I'm not even going to taste a drop of cold water from your home. Mutter lekanis lebeisai. So we know he didn't mean literally that he's not going to enter into his home or that he's not going to drink any water. He's allowed to enter into his home, v'lishtais b'manner, to drink from him tzaina and something cold. Because all he meant to say is, I'm not going to come and eat and drink with you. But that he's not going to step into his home, that he's not going to drink anything from him, that he didn't mean. If you remember, this whole thing, these things were quoted in the Masechta before when it spoke about a kind of neder that's called nidrei zrizin. Those nedarim a person makes just to encourage, and it's not an actual serious neder. Hadron Allah kainim yayin. This is the conclusion of the 8th perek of Masechta Nedarim.